What's going on, y'all? It's your favorite Uncle Juice. This is my sports network, and today we're coming back to draft content because we're here to talk about forwards and the bigs because there's not that much.
I got the juice, I play for hours. Coldest thing running, unlimited power. Doing my thing.
I was looking through my database with all the people that I've watched, and I hate when people bring up other people because then it's just like, there's more to watch. There's so hard because it's with a draft that's gonna only, at least this year because of the forfeited picks and everything, I think it's gonna come down to like 38 picks or something of that nature, where it's not gonna be the full 39. And then even when it is, it's not, because there's gonna be 2 more teams added next year. So this will be the only year that the draft is this length, and it's gonna be bigger next year. And then the year after that, there'll be more, and then that big class is coming with Juju and all of them in 2027, unless something changes. Excuse me, but for now, you know, with the smaller amount of teams, only 13 teams, it's still hard to have a lot of this talent drafted. I was talking to somebody about a lot of these people and, you know, a lot of the players, and how I think that this draft versus last draft has so many good players. Because, and granted, you know, say what you want about the 6-year player, the 5-year player. You know, they're not getting it done in the same time as your greats that played for 4 years. It is what it is. It's a new day. Get over it. At the end of the day, you have somebody that is having a chance to hone their abilities in college and make money. Right now, the pay for W players isn't where it needs to be. With NIL, it kind of helps people start their careers and stuff like that. You don't know that these people could be saving up money to, you know, have a backflow, and so they can say, all right, I'll go into the draft, but only because I know I'm going to have the money to support myself when the money from the W's not there, especially if they're not the kind of person that is able to get endorsements and things like that. So it all makes sense. And, you know, nobody talks about the ladies that get drafted that are international, that don't come over for a few years. And yes, that's still money too, but that's also more time to develop. And I don't think you can hurt yourself too much playing in college, as long as you play in tough games enough. You know, you're not just beating up on, you know, smaller opponents and stuff like that, or, you know, lesser opponents. I'm all for, you know, using the time given to you. Enough about that. The forwards in this draft, it's obviously split up between ladies who can play a little bit of shooting guard, a little bit of point guard, a little bit of, you know, can play multiple positions, versus the ones that like, no, that's a small forward, no, that's a power forward, no, that's a combo forward, no, that's a forward center. You know, it's all encompassing, which is why I kind of wanted to put the bigs in there as well, because while there are specific bigs in this draft, there's only a few. There's a lot more big forwards that could probably go between given their size. But this is watching these ladies, the big forwards. It's what made me upset about the state of women's basketball, and probably men's to an extent. Although the NBA has gone to somewhat of a smaller game for positions, whereas it doesn't feel like the W has, and that's the main reason, the main knock on people like Aneesah Morrow, who is small for a power forward, but people fail to look at Napheesa Collier, which she is not your run-of-the-mill player. She is an MVP caliber player. She is a all-star, a multi-time all-star. I get it. You don't really want to compare one player that's a prospect to, you know, one of the best that's in the game right now. But again, to me, if I see that somebody can do it, then I have hope for somebody else that is coming along, because that's all it usually takes, is an archetype to be created, and then the next generation coming in as it being a normal thing for the archetype. I guess we're starting on Aneesah. She's probably going to be the highest drafted forward from what I can tell, unless Fudd comes out, and she's kind of like a forward guard. But Aneesah is a true, to me, power forward. But the thing that gives her super upside, and I struggled with her as a prospect, is that she has an insanely high ability to steal the ball. Like, you know, her steals per game. Like, I made a metric, and I based it off of like All-Star. I pulled numbers from a lot of the recent All-Stars in the last 5 years or so that I can not go too far back, because then the game is really, 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 really different. So I wanted to make sure that I'm comparing statistics and things like that to, and this is like a small part of it, but I'm comparing statistics to recent stars, recent game, parts of the recent game change, a more fluid offense, bigs having moves, and all this other stuff, blah, 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 blah. The greatest thing about what I've seen so far as Aneesah goes, and someone else, is that she has a very high steal rate. And you can tell by just looking at her regular stats. You don't have to use something that I created to come up with a barometer for whether or not players should or would get drafted. But she has a high steal rate. She's got a great nose for the ball, good hands. And so I think that's going to help her against other ladies that are willing to put the ball on the floor, and you're going to see a lot of that at the power forward position in the W. You see that in some centers as well, and I think she should be able to hold her own. It's going to take a little bit, but I think she'll be fine. I do want to see more of a shot from her, because you kind of really didn't see that. You kind of really don't see that in her game at all, in terms of getting out to the mid-range and beyond. It's more of all close to the basket like Angel, which a lot of people compared her to being. A lot of people say that she is Angel, not 2.0, but Angel lesser, because she's smaller, but she does the same things Angel does. But like Angel's like 6'3", 6'4", whereas Aneesah is like 6 foot even, maybe 6'1" with shoes, but she still rebounds at a high clip. And scores fine. She doesn't score where I think she should, but then she's also sharing the ball with, Michaela and Flo and all these other ladies that are that have high usage rates. But even then, her usage rate, for the statistic that the formula that I built out based off of stars and things like that, all stars, high draft picks. What was it, like the last top 15 picks and the last All-Stars in like the last 3 or 4 or 5 years, her usage rate is pretty low, for like it's in the red. And you don't really like to see that, but at the end of the day, as long as it's not under 20%, it's okay, I believe. Now, if it's in the teens and you're talking about drafting her as a first-round pick, then I think that kind of maybe goes out of the window. I think the tools are there for her, but I've said it before on social media, you can get her in a much cheaper form, So you got your high level, she's your top shelf for this type, this archetype, whereas I got maybe a middle shelf version, and that's Destiny Adams from Rutgers. When I watched her game, it's one of those things that you watch for Kiyomi McMiller, who's going to terrorize the league as long as she can keep her head on straight and things like that. But Destiny Adams does a lot of the same things that Aneesah Morrow does, but at a taller size. She's 6'3". She even though Aneesah gets rebounds like nobody's business, Destiny Adams gets rebounds in ways that I haven't seen any of the players that I've watched get rebounds. Like, I don't even know. I can't tell you how many players that I've watched, how much tape I've watched, how many hours I've spent, and she gets some rebounds in weird ways where I'm just like, she's resourceful in the way that she gets them. Like, usually people just have good positioning. They're quick to the ball and stuff. Like, she is, I guess the best word I'm looking for, she's flexible. She's flexible, and she can get to the ball in ways that I haven't seen other people get by pure athleticism, strength, positioning, or a combination of all of them in terms of just like, seal off my opponent right at the right time. Boom, my hand's right here. I got the rebound. Or get out of my way. I got the rebound. It's all up. Leak out for the pass or whatever. She produces at a similar rate to Aneesah in terms of points scored, but I don't think that's where her true value is, although I think she can, and she can stretch out. She's not like a high volume, or high percentage 3-ball shooter, but she can still hit the shot. I think with less shots taken and things, she can become more efficient in the W if she gets the chance. And she can score from every part of the floor, which I like to see, especially in a big forward. And she, I think, can play some small forward as well, but I would like to see her be able to move her feet a little quicker. And then her steal rate is actually higher than Aneesah's, but that just may be due to less defensive players around her. Less, her team is a lot worse than LSU, let's be real. But her, it shows too, because her usage rate is almost 10% higher at a 32, which is extremely high for any player. And hers is like right behind Deonna Gaston, which is, again, when it goes down to you being like one of the only people on the team, you're going to have a higher usage rate anyways, or usage percentage. Although Janiah Barker has a high one for somebody that doesn't really play a ton of minutes, which is, I guess we can switch right here. I'm not just all over the place, but I love Janiah Barker. I hope she comes out this year. I really do. She can come out next year with bets, but Janiah Barker reminds me of a bigger Nafisa. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I've not been saying it. I don't want to jinx her. I don't want to, but I got to stand on that hill at some point. She's very, 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 very unrefined on the offensive side of the ball. But the way she moves on defense and offense, this is one of those times where I look at the player and I go, I got to ignore the numbers, because there's no way that somebody like her under the right tutelage doesn't ball out if given the chance. I don't think she'll be drafted very high, and she could, but there's just a ton of guards in this draft and stuff like that. I just feel like she's going to get just drowned out again. Like I said, this draft is full of ballers everywhere. Like, there's going to be a lot of people that I love that just are not going to get drafted. But yeah, Janiah Barker is one of my draft crushes, as they say, and from the football world, like when I used to do this for football. Janiah is one of them, for sure. And Destiny Adams is as well. And not that I hate Aneesah Morrow. I like the people that may be a little overlooked and things like that. And maybe not. Maybe some of these people aren't. Maybe I'm just on it. But yeah, no. You heard it here first. The way she moves, she could fall flat. I'm not calling for her to, but I feel like she has super potential that some people are just not realizing, because out of this formula that I built, she tanks it harder than most of the people I want to see in the first round, the second round. But I gotta ignore it. Maybe it'll come back to bite me, but I don't think it will. If you want a person that kind of reminds you, if you're an NBA fan as well, Ajsa Sivka reminds me a lot of, and I don't even know, I'm hoping I'm not butchering these. Now, I haven't said a lot of these names out loud. I've been reading these names and watching these players for a while, but I listen to games on mute because I can't stand some of the people that do the games, and it's just a lot of extra information that I don't want to hear, or I can't understand if it's an international game. But she is 6'4", forward. She's young, but she will turn 20 this year, so that means she's eligible. So if she decides to come out, I believe she will be a first rounder. She's similar to Dominique Malonga from France, who she has big potential, and I don't know if she'll come over right away, but I do believe that if she does decide to go, that she'll be drafted. She can shoot like nobody's business. She's one of the first prospects I watched that was able to pass the way she did. And it's one of those things where, like, I always like to see that extra special skill that, players have and stuff like that. And I even have that as a column for, draft prospects. For Aneesah, it's her steals and rebounding, because she rebounds at such a high clip that nobody can match her. I have something similar for Ajsa, which is her passing ability. Like, everybody can shoot, so, obviously I have shooting columns, but she has a higher mark with that for her passing, because she passes at the level of a point. She may not be able to like ball handle like a point or a guard in general, but she reminds me a lot of Jokic in, you know, limited athleticism, ability to shoot the ball, ability to really pass. And yeah, I would really love to see her in the W game. I don't know where she fits, but she definitely has the potential. She has great size for how she's able to move and how she's able to shoot. But if they decide because she's 6'4", we're going to stick her at center, or, you know, because she's maybe a little slower, we're going to stick her at center, then she may struggle a little bit, because I think she'd be better suited against matchup 4. I don't think she's going to guard a lot of the. And see, this is where you kind of get into the tweener stuff too, or I hate the word, you know, just because everybody has their own skill and the game's just so different now. She's got to be somewhere in the 4 range, or maybe like a stretch 5, and have somebody out there who can guard the center if they're your Brittany Griner, Jonquel Jones, you know, Asia, all these kind of players, you know, Aaliyah Boston, Leah Edwards. Some of these guys, these ladies that are going to tear her to pieces. But yeah, she's another one of my draft crushes. That as long as she declares she'll be drafted pretty high. Let's see, what's some forwards? Oh yeah, Faith Masonius is one that I've had pushback on in the internet as far as talking about her, because she left Maryland with Cheyenne Sellers and things like that. It's like, oh, she can crack the rotation over there. She, you know, what makes me want to think that she's going to be really good when she went to Seton Hall, and, you know, now she's going off or whatever and blah, 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 blah. Faith, to me, gives a lot of the same things that Ajsa does, but she's got a bigger body. She's 6'1", so I think she's more of a small forward, and I think she can maybe hang with the small forwards. She can shoot really well. She can create really well, and I don't think she's a let me go drop 20 player, and she could be. I'm never taking that away from any of these players. You get in the right position, you get with the right people, you can do anything you want. The ceiling is the floor, you know. We're standing on top of it. Let's go. Let's raise. Let's go. And nothing but positivity over here. However, I think her best attribute is, again, that passing. Again, she can shoot from anywhere. She can score from anywhere at a decent rate. Midi, floater, hit free throws, hit the three. You know, the defense. I don't necessarily enjoy the defense, but she makes up for so much of it with having such a complete game on offense that, you know, I can kind of look past it. She has great mobility for a forward. So again, if you have to put her down at the 4, or, you know, switching with, you know, just 2 forwards out there, if somebody's got to guard somebody quicker, they can go out there and then she can, you know, go back and forth. But she has great mobility even still, and she'll put forth the effort. What drew me to her is that, while yes, you watch your games of players that play against play against teams that are high ranked and things like that, or the low ranked games and stuff like that, I've watched a lot of that. But the way she performed versus USC and some of the other games, who did she? I think they played LSU as well. Where's her board at that I've watched? Yeah, but she's played a lot of big games against W prospects, and she looked good. She gave them buckets, and this is not like garbage time buckets. She was giving it to them in the game from start to the third quarter when they're getting blown out. I mean, because only one person can only do so much. And that's where I'll give players who play on worse teams a pass, like, okay, you're getting destroyed. I can't stop 4 other people. And then if she's not great at defense, then she's not going to stop 5 other people. And she's not that bad, but she was one of the ones that has gotten the better comp grades, like versus comp, you know, out of a lot of these players that I've watched. I gave her a 10 out of 10 because she definitely outperformed the people she was going against. And again, talking about a lot of my draft crushes, she is definitely at the top. I want to see her in the first round, but I don't think it'll happen. There's just too many guards. There's just too many too many players with potential and things like that I think are going to come before her. Like I've said on threads before, this draft will tell me what the W has a desire for. Not to say that they're not in the business of talent and things like that, but I think sometimes pedigree and what the player has done overshadows what you've done for me lately. What can you do now? And that's what I look at. Like, okay, cool, we've seen what you did last year. Like all these players that don't go into the draft this year, that wait till next year. While yes, they have specific marks for me from this year, next year, that's going to change. If you fall off, then these grades change. They change, they go down. Just because you were in my top 10 for point guards or something like that, doesn't mean that I'm going to come back into the next year after 15 games and go, you haven't been performing up to par. You're not injured. You're not in a new system. Nobody's fighting for your spot. The team's winning and gelling, but you look worse. I can't. There's no way I can keep you where you are. So in that frame of mind, in terms of scouting, I'm just interested to see how, once I fix my board and stuff, to see how the draft goes based on that, which is going to be super, super fun to watch. Another player that's similar to her in faith and people like what's my other girl's name, Julia Iriafen thing, the little slower but heavy pass or heavy playmakers that can score from anywhere, that just they're not quick, that'll probably be more fours, is Jorie Allen from DePaul. I don't think she'll be drafted, but that's just one to kind of keep an eye out for and keep an ear out for. One that has popped up that I hadn't had the chance to watch too much is Anastasiia Kosu, who plays in Russia, I want to say. She's an international prospect. She turns 20 this year. A lot of the reports are that she's super athletic, very good on the defensive side of the ball, so I feel like she can play her way into being a really good forward. She's 6 foot, so she's got good size again, or 6'1". That's my favorite size for a W player, is that 6 foot range, because you can play, to me, 4 positions very good, very actively, as long as you're strong and you have the skill to go. Another hot button topic is Kiki Iriafen, who I think has gotten the benefit of playing with stronger players in terms of just talent level. Not to say she's not talented, but I think taking her in the top 5, top 8 is too rich. There's a lot of other players that I would like to see go before her. Again, it's based on team need, but I don't think a team should be, running to go get her that high. Because what I noticed with her is that she has a baseline for rebounds. And she gets a lot of rebounds, but she should be rebounding like Aneesah Morrow. Does she have to go, crazy after every single board? No. But what I'm talking about is, if you get 8 rebounds, and I sit and watch you be lazy and get out-rebounded by somebody who just not even wanted it more, but they just got in there. Like, she's just waiting for it to come to her sometime. Like, the motor is not where I would like for it to be in high game. And it doesn't matter the level of competition. She just doesn't play to the level that I think she should. I don't agree with how she's very inconsistent with her scoring as well. And again, this is not to go against her and everything. She's got great size. She has had great games and great times. But I just feel like the skill is there, but the motor isn't. And then she's not the greatest defender as well, but because I've noticed too, when she's not on the floor with a good defender, so Raya Marshall or Cameron Brink, she looks a lot worse when it comes to guarding players. And this is also part of what made me go, when I watched her against Faith, because Faith was outrunning her, she was outmaneuvering her, and she was not doing anything to stop Faith whatsoever. It was Raya that had the defensive assignment, so I'm not looking at Kiki to be a defender, although people have said she's a great defender, and she might be a better help defender than an on-ball post defender, whatever. Again, it's too rich for my blood, but I struggle whether or not. We'll wait to see what March Madness brings us, how players play when the lights are on the brightest, which is going to be the best way to match the vibes in the W. She's a back end of the first, beginning of the second type player, and that may be blasphemy to a lot of people, but just wait till I release my. I already have 10 tier list out there on everywhere you can find me. But yeah, go look at some of those other players that y'all think should be in the first round, because I don't see it. But I'll be the first to admit that I'm wrong if I end up looking like a fool. I'm not crazy to say I'm perfect at this whatsoever. So Dominique Malonga going over to the bigs is one that I think we should see in the top 4, because obviously you have Paige Beckers, you have Olivia, you have Fudd if she decides to come out. I don't think anybody else should come before her. And that's if she decides to come over, but when are you going to find a 6'6" person you could play at the 4? She doesn't have the shot that I would like to see, but she's young. She turns 20 this year. You can work on that. You can absolutely work on that, because she doesn't shoot free throws in the greatest, and I know a lot of people say that's indicative of how good a three-pointer you could be, which, I mean, it is what it is, to whatever, But she's got great range in her offensive ability within the three-point line. She can hit her middies every once in a while, and she can hit a 3 every once in a while, but you don't want her out there all the time. But, her rim level attacking is some of the best that I've seen. Obviously, she has length, size to an advantage. But her defensive ability is going to be the thing that sets her apart early on, along with her mobility. She is a little on the smaller side, but again, she's not maybe any smaller than Brink. And I think with defensive players like this, their issues early on are always going to be not jumping on pump fakes and things like that. So staying out of foul trouble, which I think that's something that Cameron Brink had issues with. I think if Janiah goes out, she has issues with that in college. So, and she, I think, is another high-level defender. So Dominique is on the same along the same lines, but you just you don't pass up on this. It's not the Wemby that everybody thinks it is, but I hesitate to say it because she has the ability to be the W's Wemby. Just a general, absolute dripping with talent that you just feel like you can't pass up, and I don't think you can pass up on this unless. No, because then the Sky gave up their 3rd pick. So, I mean, I'm not trying to figure out who picked. That's not my job, because there's politics. There's all this other stuff going on. It's just too hard to figure out who's going to take who. That's why I like tiers better than figuring out where they're going to go, who's going to pick them, stuff like that. But you're going to be hard pressed to convince me somebody else should go ahead of Dominique outside of the 2 that I mentioned before. Or 3-ish, maybe. Because while Fudd's great, she's not Dominique. I can't wait. Just to get it out of the way, obviously the W is like the NBA. You have players that have stuff that happens off the court that they will address, they won't address, that unless they come out and say this person is not going to be here, I personally have to go on about it. I'm not going to sit here and champion the person, and you probably can already guess who I'm talking about. But just to get it over with, Sedona Prince is probably going to be a 2nd-round draft pick. She has size. Yes, she's been in college for a long time or whatever, but she has a game reminiscent of LaMarcus Aldridge, the very good at posting up and scoring around the basket. The pick and fades with her and Haley look really, really good. Defense is not where I would want to see it from her, but on offense, it's absolutely amazing. I would love to see how she plays against grown women, because she is one herself, and so is Faith. She's older, but yeah, 2nd-round talent if I've ever seen it. Okay, Ayoka Lee is another one that I'm just like, this mobility is not there, but the defensive ability is, because she's also just very sizable. She's very big. She's the same size as Dominique Malonga, but she's just a bigger girl. And when I watch her play, the defense to me is more because somebody tried to force a shot on her versus her actually stopping them. She shuffles her feet well at times, but not along like throughout the game. But she's also been doing really well in games without playing that much minutes, which is eye-opening to me because she could absolutely be destroying the sport if she played heavy minutes constantly. And she's been a little hurt as well. Her rim level is only matched by Dominique's in terms of how I've rated these bigs. But that's pretty much all she has because she doesn't really have much of a midi or a three ball. But that's not to say she doesn't have one. A few people I've seen have compared her to Zach Edey, who we all were like, they're not going to make it because they're too slow, they don't have a shot, blah, blah, blah. When in actuality, the college was making them play this specific way. And I'm hoping that's the same way for her, so I haven't completely written her off. I do believe that she could be a second round and on. I don't foresee her going in the top 15, 16, but I could be wrong. Again, she's 6'6". That's the size you just don't find walking around all the time. Usually you'll find your 6'5", 6'4", 6'3s pretty easily with the ladies in terms of high-level play. And you're going to find I think there's going to be a lot better bigs in the next draft and then the draft after that. But I think Ayoka is worthy of being picked. I just don't know if it's high, super high. There's some players that I like as far as their defense. Why do I keep saying defense? Defense. But that's all they pretty much offer for the moment that I've seen, and it's players like Raya Marshall, Michaela Timpson, players like that who are really good at locking the ball down, rebounding, and filling a role. I think they're really good role players that I think should also have a look taken at them. If teams need these players as well. And then there's players that I need to kind of revisit, I believe, that their numbers are just kind of just a little too loud for me to continue to not make a concerted effort to try to raise them up. Because I think it was Fanta Gassama from Gonzaga, right? Yeah. No, sorry. Yvonne Ejim, I want to say. Like I said, I don't know if I'm saying a lot of these names right. She can hit the face-up midi like nobody's business. She's a mobile big forward, and she can handle the ball when she needs to. But she's another 6'1" girl that I think would be best fit as a 4. But I want to see her. I don't know. She's one that makes me scratch my head. She's got great numbers, but I'm not sure how she's going to do. Not going to do. I haven't looked to see. Let's see if we can look real quick. Because I'm not sure. I'm not caught up on all the teams and where they stand for like being in the tournament. But they're 22-9. So yeah, they're still playing. They play tomorrow in the West Coast tournament. So they're still alive. So their bid could still be active. But I'm not sure. So she's another one I want to see in the tournament. Another one is Marta Suarez from Cal. I love their players because you got Ioana Kermele and Kayla Williams as well, who are two players that may not get drafted, but I think they're W-level talent at some point. But Marta, she gets busy just like some of the rest of these players. It's like almost like a build. It's like somewhere between 6 foot to 6'3". It's like these shifty players who can handle the ball, shoot, pass, have creative passing, eyes on the back of their head, stuff like that. It's just like an archetype almost. If I could put together a list, she would definitely be one of them. Saying for more like Morgan Maley, Saniya, or it could be Sanya. I haven't heard a lot of these ones said. Saniya Rivers from North Carolina, I believe, North Carolina State. She is probably another one I would want to see in the first round. She is like, I know I keep talking about her because I love her so much, but Janiah, that I think she could guard a lot of positions. High defensive capability, very mobile, can hit shots in multiple different areas. Obviously, it's unrefined offense, but the defense is just great, in my opinion. She has a really good midi game that is similar to Isaiah's. That's what makes them so good as a team as well. I love the way they play off of each other. I love how she plays. She's not like one of my draft crushes, but she is also just really good. I think she's more of guard forward than combo forward. I think she can play, like I said, multiple positions, and I really like her. Other than that, like I said, there's a lot of other bigs that I could see getting drafted, a lot of big forwards, a lot of small forwards, depending on whether a lot of these ladies come out or they decide to stay in another year, which is fair as well. Maddie Westbeld has looked good at times. You know, she's picking up right where she left off before she got hurt, but you wonder if she's going to still press forward and come out. I don't know necessarily their eligibility situation. I like Stanford's Brooke Dimitra. She can shoot really well. She reminds me of I hate to use the word, but a lesser version of Ajsa Sivka in terms of the passing and the ability to shoot the three ball. Like, I have notes on her, but like, they're not word notes. There are times to check in each of these games that I watch because I was like, oh my God, type that down. Oh my gosh, type that down, and then go back and look at her. I think I made a video about her specifically on TikTok and Instagram if you want to go back through those and check. And I think it's here on YouTube as well. This draft is something I look forward to. I can't wait to do a little bit of crash scouting throughout the tournament, and then hopefully I can get another video out for that mock like I keep bringing up for the last mock before the draft, because I think the tournament's going to end and it's not going to be that soon, that much time before the WNBA draft is. It's usually like really quick behind, and we still don't know when the WNBA draft is going to be or where. But I got my name on the list because I was hoping that it was going to be somewhere where I could maybe try to go to, but you know, it's getting to the point where with my job and everything, I wouldn't be able to take the time off to try to get to it to go see it in person. But one year, you know, it doesn't always have to be this year. I would definitely love to be there for 2027, but so would everybody else because everybody's waiting for Juju. Other things that I've had to it's really been on my mind in terms of the draft is like with all these teams coming in, I wonder if they'll change the draft because like as you add teams, it's just like you keep doing first round, second round, third round, or do you switch to sort of like an NBA model? Not to say you have to translate to, you know, brother over here and do what he does, but you know, why not go down to 1-2 rounds, bigger first and second rounds, and then make where you would have the third rounds do just, I mean, like the NBA where they have the preferred free agents, and then that way those players, if they don't feel like they're going to get drafted in the first 2 rounds, the expanded rounds, you know, obviously to match how many teams you have, they can wait on teams to, you know, give them a call for a training camp invite or whatever the case may be, because you really hope the CBA breaks the way it needs to. It's got to, man. Come on. Like all these eyes on the game and stuff, going through a lockout and nothing good coming out of it is going to suck. But I pray for the best for the new CBA for these ladies. And I love that this game is continuing to grow and getting bigger and better. And if you're hearing arguments and all this stuff, that just means more people are paying attention, more people are talking about it, and more people are invested in the sport. Again, like I've said before, I would love to be a billionaire and build a team to put somewhere, somewhere that doesn't get the chance to enjoy basketball, somewhere that, you know, needs a team, and somewhere where we can showcase. This is the social media team right here. It's built off of people on Threads, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Take this big sister W, and this is how you should be doing it going forward. But either way, that's me. That's the draft talk. Enjoy the tournament. I'm going to be posting more videos about it and about things that are happening. I can't wait to see you guys on those next videos. Subscribe, like, follow. Do all the things that everybody asks y'all to do. This is your Uncle Juice. I'm signing off. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
They got me spinning round and round. 7 days got me spinning round and round. I sleep without